In terms of the big focus for you, so obviously as a fellow now of your industry as well, this idea of giving back and educating as well. So what I know you've been working a lot over probably the last 9-12 months kind of on an initiative. Do you want to talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, it's taken up lots and lots of time, and I think time's the biggest commodity for most of us.
Yeah.
So we've actually geared the business back to try and push the business forward through, I hate saying it, but we call it corporate engagement.
Yeah.
What we've been trying to do is educate. So one of our key roles for me is educate people. We've worked together providing content on LinkedIn. No call to action, it's pure education. We ran long-term care events, pure educational content.
Yeah.
What we've been working on is looking at companies of a similar scale and size to us, and I try to identify how can we make these employers, I'm not going to say better because we don't come in and do their work for them, but how can we make their people more engaged? How can we make it a more attractive place to work?
Yeah.
And that's where we've been looking at, okay, well, first thing we can do is we've been working and spent a lot of time and money on a quiz. Now, there's lots of quizzes out there that you can do, but we were looking at and talking about asset allocation and talking about diversification, and most people don't really engage in that, or they don't understand what that is. So we were covering, I refer to like a pyramid. We'll talk about financial protection, we'll talk about emergency funds, we'll talk about holiday funds, we'll talk about investments, we'll talk about do you have a plan? If you're a business owner, what legacy do you have? What's your exit strategy? And the quiz that we've been putting in provides pure educational content at the back end.
So go and just describe the mechanics of that quiz out of interest, or the survey, I guess. Is that a survey or a quiz?
It's not a quiz, I guess. There's no right or wrong answer. So quiz is probably the wrong word.
Yeah.
It's a health check, I would call it. So it's interactive.
Yeah.
It's online throughout. Is that what you mean in terms of it? So it's online through a website. There's about 4 questions in terms of just categorising your age, your earnings and whatnot. And that's all relevant when it comes to tax planning. So there may be hints and tips if you're a higher rate taxpayer that you can make if you're not. What we've tried to make is interesting because you know me pretty well. My attention span on some things needs to be quick.
Yeah.
So when we're designing this, we need to make sure it's quick and people are engaged in doing it.
Yeah. So people are moving through a set of questions?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. It's question 1 leading on to question X, depending on where you sit within a scale. And what we do at the back end of that is we give them a report. It's a journey, so we create a pathway and it scores them at each part based on kind of low, medium, high. For example, I'll give you one. You don't have any savings. You should have an emergency fund. So we give you hints and tips about how you can create an emergency fund and why an emergency fund is important. So you score low. So the focus would be create an emergency fund for day-to-day emergencies.
Yeah, no point talking about investments and trusts if you haven't got any savings, Absolutely. I guess. Yeah.
But I think for me, leading on to the quiz, when we get a report, what we're also saying is, look, here's your report, here's hints and tips. So if you don't want to chat to us, fine, here's hints and tips, go away and do it yourself. If you do want to talk to us, what we're offering employers is a one-to-one with that individual. That might be budgeting advice, it might be planning advice, it might be retirement advice. It doesn't really matter. It's the opportunity to go and work with a corporate and provide support on the back of the quiz to I guess back up the quiz or the health check they've just done. And then I believe that there's lots going on in life with cost of living crises, there's anxiety, mental health issues, and one of the things we want to take away from employers is financial stress. So people won't disclose, or typically won't disclose to their employer if they're financially struggling. But it could be on their mind, and if it's on their mind every day, then how engaged are they doing their job? These are all the things that we're hoping that we can pull out of the health check or the quiz that I'm referring to. 1, provide feedback, but 2, benefit the individual by providing educational content, but subsequently benefit the employer by having a more engaged person or happier person. Happier is even better than engaged, isn't it?
Yeah.